How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And the time is almost here, guys. We're almost at the Snyder Cut. We started with Man of Steel. Logically, we had to do BVS. Screw the theatrical cut. We went straight to the Ultimate Edition. Pratik, this is your favorite movie of all time. Go ahead and give us your thought. No. I do have a big question. It's similar to the question I asked you with Man of Steel.
Yeah.
You've seen this movie a few times.
Well, this is maybe my third watch of the Ultimate Cut. I've only ever seen the theatrical cut one time that was in theaters.
Okay.
Fourth time kind of watching this movie.
But you've had enough time to kind of, digest the theatrical cut, get it out of your brain.
I barely remember
Exactly.
it.
So it's been some years since you've even seen this cut, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just right off the bat, what are your thoughts? Any improvements on it from your original view of it?
That's, I'm trying to figure that out myself. Because I think when it first came out, I hated it because of just the awful characterization and the nonsense plot points and
Editing.
And just, editing all...
The lack of editing.
The lack of editing or just...
Lack of proper editing.
Zack Snyder can't edit. But anyway...
Not with Warner Brothers breathing down his neck.
He can't edit regardless. But... After watching this movie, I think walking into it being like, oh, okay, the characterization is going to suck. And they're like, knowing all of those things, I feel like I was able to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I think it didn't necessarily impact my score, but I wasn't falling asleep in the middle. So, big improvement.
I'll say this, kind of agreeing with what you're saying, though. I think if you go into this without any type of preconceived notions about what any of these characters should be, and just accept them for how they are written, I think it's a lot easier to enjoy the movie. And I honestly enjoyed it way more this time around. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we had that conversation about during the Man of Steel review about characterization and how it's so off with these characters. I kind of went into this thinking, all right, this isn't the Superman we know. This isn't the Batman we know. This is definitely not the Lex Luthor we're used to.
Oh, my God.
But I think knowing that, it definitely helped. Like, would you agree? Disagree?
I still feel...
Not enough?
I still feel like even the Superman that I watched in this movie didn't feel like the same Superman as from Man of Steel.
Really?
Also, kind of this thing that was bothering me, did Henry Cavill do a different voice for like his Superman persona? It almost felt like Henry Cavill doing a Batman impression while he was in Superman. He was growling so much more, and I'm like, why is he doing that?
I hear you. I think it's mostly because it's just shown that Superman is fed up from where we saw him before. Like, he's just more upset and like done with everybody right now.
It took a year, and he's upset?
2 years. Yeah.
18 months.
But you
it was a year and a half.
Well, he says in the movie that it's been 2 years since that happened, so since the attack on Metropolis, so it's been 2 years. Semantics. Anyway,
there's big title card that says 18 months later.
You can pull up the clip. Ben Affleck says, Bruce Wayne says, that was 2 years ago when the Metropolis thing happened. So it's been 2 years. Regardless, 18 months, 2 years, it's been a long chunk of...
He's a detective and he can't remember how long ago it was. All right, got it. Anyway, moving on.
You see how nitpicky this guy is? But if it was a Marvel...
Hey, I nitpick
if it had Kevin Feige on the title, though. But without going into little things... Well, no, let's go into little things. What did you like? Because I know that's going to be the little part of it.
Like always with any Zack Snyder project, there's a lot of like really well shot scenes. Obviously, the Batman in the warehouse scene is fantastic. That's really good. Wonder Woman's great in this all throughout.
I remember not thinking she was that great, and maybe it's just because we know where she's going to go. We can appreciate her a little bit more. Her acting's still not great, especially when she's at the funeral talking to Bruce. I thought maybe they gave her a bit too much to say when she didn't have the correct acting coaches at the time, or Patty Jenkins. But now, I think honestly, if she were to go back now, she could act the hell out of those scenes.
Yeah, I thought she was great in it. I really liked the fight with Doomsday was great, mostly because none of the characters had to talk, so I didn't have to remember what character they were. Like, it just had to look pretty, and that was good.
I have a complaint about that scene, though.
Okay.
And it's really my big question with, like, what is Batman doing fighting these gods? Like, and with this, I feel like even Zack Snyder was like, what's Batman going to really be doing other than just kind of, like, evading? It's kind of what he's doing the whole time. But that's kind of minor, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't want to say that Snyder doesn't get Batman, but he definitely like was like, well, this
you don't want to say that?
I mean,
you want to say it. Just say it, Pratik. Say it with your chest.
No, because I do think like he in that specific instance he's not wrong. Like Batman is a guy in a suit. Like he has no business going up against a mutated Kryptonian monster. Yeah. While fighting next to an Amazon and a Kryptonian. Like that part, like that's always been the thing about Batman. And the thing that's made Batman so cool is that he's always managed to find a way to like, you know what, he still brings something to, he can be fighting in the Justice League with gods and he still brings something to the table. Yeah. He's still a badass.
Which at the end of the day, he did like it took all three of them to take down Doomsday. Like Wonder Woman had him with the lasso and Batman shot him with the canister of kryptonite and Superman came in with the...
Superman actually did all the work. Right.
Where would he have gotten the spear if not for Batman?
Lex Luthor.
Okay. Well.
But no, like I think Zack Snyder was like asking the question and just didn't understand the character enough to actually have an answer to that. But
yeah. I will say though, as far as Zack Snyder and characterization of these characters, Batman's definitely the best. Like you could tell this must be his favorite character, or like at least he paid more attention to Batman. Aside from the killing and stuff, you just have to accept that this is a Batman at the end of his rope who just doesn't give a damn anymore. Like, he will kill you. Like, that is this Batman. And I think if you don't accept that by now, the Snyder cut of Justice League is going to be really hard to see. And I haven't even seen it yet. But
yeah, I think I don't have a problem with I have a problem with the Batman killing, but I can go past it because there's enough instances. I think as long as Batman isn't using guns, which...
He is. The big one shot of this movie is him with a gun, Wonder Woman next to him, and Superman next to him.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the one thing that was a bit over the edge was during the nightmare sequence when he just straight up just breaks the dude's neck. Like, the dude who was already on the ground, he picks him up and just, like, breaks his neck. And I'm like, you went out of your way to kill that one. Like, that wasn't even an act of defense. Like,
well, again, which kind of makes sense for the nightmare sequence, given that it's like the worst case scenario.
Speaking of nightmares, can we just get into this real quick?
Sure.
What is it even a nightmare? Like, or is this happening in the future? Is it an alternate reality? Pratik, explain.
You want me to explain?
Well,
because I Zack Snyder to explain.
Because I know if I explain it, it's going to be wrong. So my theory for it is, yes, this is actually a version of what could happen if Lois dies and Superman goes crazy, kind of like what happens in Injustice, right? Lois dies, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in Injustice, Superman kills Lois, but that's...
Yeah, doesn't the Joker, like, brainwash him into thinking... Yeah, okay. Man, they should have really done... I feel like Snyder wants to do that. Like, that's what he's trying to do with this, is he wants us all to lead into, like, an Injustice-style fight or something at the end, right? Like, of his, like, 5-movie plan.
Injustice has better characterization. Go on.
Forget about the characterization.
But see, all of, like, and I think that comes to the heart of the movie, though, is that, like, all of the movie boils down to, like, a little kid, like, smacking 2 action figures together unless it means something. And for it to mean something, we have to understand these characters.
You know what, though? The theatrical cut, walking out of Batman v Superman, I was never more disappointed with a movie in my life than that. Maybe it was because... Was it before we saw Civil War or after? I think it was before Civil War, right?
Ooh.
Maybe it was just because I was looking forward to Civil War. Civil War had this built-in...
You know what? It was before, because I remember us, like, talking about the airport scene and how, like, oh, there's nobody at the airport, just like there's nobody in... Yeah.
But I really feel like I walked out of Batman v Superman thinking, man, they really had no reason to want to fight each other. And with Civil War, there's this built-in, like, conflict throughout all the movies prior that this movie doesn't have. And I think, honestly, watching it this time and with the little things they've added with the Ultimate Edition that show you why they would go against each other, it's not perfect, but I'll say this. I was more satisfied with Batman's motivation for wanting to kill Superman and Superman's motivation for wanting to fight Batman. Aside from my number one flaw with this movie, and I think you'll agree with this as well, if any of these...
I'll agree with it.
If any of these characters would have just spoken to each other in a little civil conversation, like how normal humans do, all of this could have been avoided easily. Like, hey, Bruce, like, stop shooting at me. Lex is trying to mess with us. Oh, you're gonna keep shooting at me? Hold on. Okay, Lex is trying to mess with us.
Or
like, try to tell him.
Not only that, once. Like, just when that whole, like, fight scene starts, like, Superman, like, lands, right, and he's walking forward, and Batman's like kind of giving him, like, it's negotiation 101. Like, if you're intimidating the person that you're trying to negotiate with by moving forward, don't move forward.
Yeah.
Like, maybe stop walking. Maybe put your hands up and be like, I just want to talk.
But I think there's a little bit of he wants to punch him in the face. Like, Superman wants to punch Batman. He has a lot of built up anger from just everything that's going on, and he's even though he's not human, he's human enough to want to mess somebody up after this, and he's projecting all of his anger based on everything that's going on Bruce. Just like Bruce is projecting, like Bruce feels guilt about what's his name, Wally, the dude who gets put in a Wallace, the dude who gets put in a wheelchair. Bruce feels guilt about that, and now Bruce thinks that the whole bombing thing was kind of his fault because he could have stopped it, and he's projecting that on the Clark. And also, let's just get to the Martha scene right off the bat.
Do we have to?
No. Let's get all right, guys. We'll see. I know that the Martha scene is not perfect, and it is even laughable now because it's been memed and parodied so many times now that it's hard to even take it seriously. But if you are Bruce Wayne, and this entire movie you have been looking at this dude as an alien who could just wipe everybody out. You've seen the future because the Flash has apparently shown you a little glimpse of the future, what could happen. If there's even a 1% chance it could happen, you should take him out. And you get the chance to do it, and then all of a sudden, this alien, who you've never even thought about him having parents, says that he has a mother, and his mother's name is the same as your name.
Hold on, wait a second. He has thought about him having parents, because before he does that, when he's dragging him along, he's like, your parents probably told you were special, that you meant something to this world. He has this whole monologue about his parents.
But he's picturing his parents as like aliens. He's not saying...
And the fact that one of them is named Martha makes it not an alien, because there's no way that an alien could be named Martha.
It's a lot bigger of a leap to think that an alien from another planet is going to have the same exact name as your mom. Also, when Superman's saying save Martha, he's instantly thinking how he couldn't save Martha, his own mom, and it brings him back to that. And he's thinking maybe, if you lost someone in your life, if anybody tells you there's any chance of bringing them back, you're gonna stop and hear them out for a second, especially if it's a godlike being on the ground. So maybe he's thinking this has something to do with his mom, and then when Lois comes in and says it's his mom's name, he's clicking all of like, man, maybe what happened to his parents turned him into this, just like what happened to my parents turned me into this. I don't think the Martha thing is that big of a deal, and I really don't think even Snyder thought it was going to get this kind of noise about it, everybody yelling about it, saying that it's terrible.
Like Snyder really thought he did something.
I really think he was like, oh.
That's what makes it so easy to laugh at, though.
You know what, though? That goes more into just like the script. I really think that Terrio, and this is Goyer also, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really feel like they should have run this by some nerds, like some comic book nerds, because this feels like Hollywood writers who don't know the characters, who just did a bunch of research and figured out, oh, both their names are Martha? What?
Here's a connection.
And it's not out of nowhere, because throughout the movie, Martha is said like 4 times, just so, hey, if you didn't know both their names are Martha, now you know. So at the end of the movie, it comes together.
Yeah.
But that's my defense of it. Go ahead and trash on it all you want.
No, I'm not going to trash on that necessarily, because it's not a bad defense. And honestly, I think that your defense touches on what I think is maybe not the biggest flaw, but to me, the biggest disappointment of this movie is that the right ideas are in the movie. Yeah. It's just the execution is terrible. So if you'll allow me to just like walk through the characters real fast. Like Clark and his distrust of Batman, completely justified, right? Because what is Batman? He's acting as like judge, jury, executioner. Superman has the power to do that, but doesn't. So who is Batman?
And Superman's getting blamed for being judge, jury, and executioner, and he's not even doing it.
Right. So like it makes sense that like Batman is almost like Superman's like, that's what I could become if I like.
And also he's like, why does this guy get to go around doing it? Nobody's holding him accountable, but they want to hold me accountable.
Well, I think in a lot of ways, like Superman is holding himself to like that. Like I can't become that. I can't become Batman. If I become Batman, that's me going wrong, right?
Right.
He's not wrong in that, but I don't think the movie does enough of a job like actually fleshing out like his motivations and his thoughts, because again, he has like 6 lines in this movie.
Yeah, they should have gave him more.
And then like you look at Batman, and Batman's not wrong. Like here's an alien that is completely unchecked and has the power to destroy everyone if someone doesn't do something. Again, they have him like rushing blindly in his rage or whatever, and we never like actually get him fleshing it out, actually thinking it through, actually being careful with it. But he has those lines, and it's in there. It's not the wrong, like he's not wrong either. Like the right idea is there. And even if we want to go to Lex, like Lex had this whole idea of like, you know, we need a Kryptonian deterrent. Like there should be something that can stop
the
this.
motivations make sense on paper. It's just like you're saying, we didn't have time to flesh them out.
Which is crazy to say for a 3-hour movie.
But it's because you got to think about it. 3 hours compared to the 15 hours we've had with the MCU to get to that point. We're at that point in Batman v Superman that Captain America and Iron Man are at in Civil War. And I feel like you can't ignore the fact that DC had to play catch up. And that's the biggest thing with all this.
I still think there's a way that you can write this script where if you focus more on the characters, if you focus more on their motivation, if you're not trying to like, I don't know, it's just if they're trying too hard in all the wrong areas. And I feel like though, not to cut you off, I feel like Snyder was trying to do that, and Warner Brothers like, well, you got to make a superhero movie, bud. You know, and that's Snyder's biggest thing is it seems like you can't really put Snyder in a box and expect him to make a good movie. You need to let him have 4 hours, which is ridiculous, but you need to let him have 4 hours to tell his story or whatever, right? Which is why I'm honestly looking forward to the Snyder Cut even more after this, because to give him free reign, like, I really want to see what he's going to do with this, honestly. I think that we talked about this a little bit off camera. Are you more or less excited for the Snyder Cut after watching BVS again? I don't think this changes my opinion at all.
Okay, you're at the same level you were before then.
Yeah, doesn't change my opinion.
All right. Is there anything else you want to...
I mean...
well, I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
How much better is this than the theatrical cut? Like, significantly?
Significantly better.
Yeah.
Leaps and bounds better. Like, there's no question. And I was telling you, like, while we were watching it, there's no reason... Like, the only reason why the theatrical cut is worse is because I feel like they just edited the wrong stuff. Like, Snyder should have made the Ultimate Edition and then handed it off to somebody else
to edit it. I was thinking
do the editing, and which is kind of what I was saying at the beginning, where he can't edit. Like, I'm being flippant, but like honestly, there's so many parts in this movie where you and I looked at each other like, how is this not in the theatrical? Like, this is really important. Why was this not in there? And then there's parts where it's like, why is this even in this? Like, you could cut this instead of this.
It's like he makes an assembly cut thinking that he knows what he wants to cut out, and then once he gets to the cutting room floor, he's like, oh, well, I can't keep that, I can't get rid of that, so I'll just take this out, not considering how much of the story relies on that. Why would anybody think that Superman is killing all these people if they're riddled with bullets? But the Ultimate Edition shows you, no, they're being torched and like ripped apart, so it looks like Superman did it. Like there's little things like that. Lois's whole side story with the bullet, still kind of unnecessary, but it's justified in this version of it. You know what I mean? It was so unnecessary in the theatrical cut. But with this, it's like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense, because even though we could have put together in our heads that it was LexCorp all along, this is it gives her something to do.
Speaking of Lex, if you thought the Joker had a lot of like convenient escapes in The Dark Knight, like this movie took the Joker and then like cranked it up to 11.
What do you mean? How so?
Like, just as far as all of the little like coincidences and unnecessary like machinations just to mess with the characters'
I will
heads.
say that I agree that there's a lot of things that would have to go right for his plan to work, but it's no more than Zemo's in Civil War, where he had to rely on so much luck pretty much for certain things to pan out the way they did and certain people to be in the way that I think that your suspension of disbelief has to be the same for both. And if I'm making it equal for both, I'm gonna say that that's not that big of a deal. But I get where you're coming from. In general, it's because they needed a way to show him manipulating these characters to fight each other, and I think that they did it to a point where it works.
I think that there's two big differences between Zemo and Luthor, and one of them is like I said when we were watching the movie, like Zemo has nothing to lose because he's already lost everything. Luthor has a lot. We kind of disagree on whether that impacts somebody's motivations, but I think the other thing is that with a Zemo in Civil War, I think we kind of see him, like, he has this idea of where he wants to get to, but we kind of see him adapting and adjusting and like changing things on the fly, like
Yeah,
as situations happen. We never see that with Lex. Like with Lex, it's like, oh, the whole movie is going according to his plan.
It's as if they want you to see how calculated he is, that everything has been so perfectly done.
Which would make sense if
he wasn't crazy.
If he wasn't like Joker level crazy, which
I said while we were watching, I was like, I almost wish that this was like a Joker origin, and by the end of the movie, he's turning into Joker, because it seems more like he's that level of crazy. But aside from the characterization of Lex Luthor being completely off, I used to hate him every time I watched BVS. I hated him. But this time around, for some reason, maybe it's because I went into it thinking this isn't Lex Luthor. This is the version that they want to give us. I think I was okay with it this time around. Like, he didn't want to. It seemed like Snyder wanted the Social Network Jesse Eisenberg, and Jesse Eisenberg wasn't going to give him that. And he was like, no, I'm going to give you something. You want an eccentric billionaire? I'm going to give you that, how I see it, not how it was in Social Network. And that's kind of what we got.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him again, honestly. I'd like to see him again.
I liked him as Lex Luthor. I thought he did a good job with the acting. Again, I thought the problem was the script, not necessarily like Eisenberg's performance.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he did what he could with what he had. Which I think we could say about all the actors, honestly. What's your biggest standout? Is it Ben Affleck's Batman?
Yeah, probably.
I would say so. I also think that with his solo Batman movie that was supposed to happen, I really think it was going to be a prequel, because if you look at this, they definitely aged him up. Yeah. He doesn't even look this old now, like in real life. Right. So like they put the little gray in his temples and everything, and they aged him up. So I think that they did plan on giving us pretext to all of this, and we just didn't get it because Warner Brothers.
I mean it. Yeah.
Warner Brothers has given us the best villain in literature, and it's them. It's Warner Brothers. Oh man! All right. Honestly, I think I'm ready to score it. If you are, do you have any other things you just want to get off your chest?
No, not really. No, I'm good. Go ahead.
I actually think I liked it more than Man of Steel. I think I'm gonna give it an 8, though. I think I'm gonna stay at 8. This is a version of these characters that I've kind of never thought I wanted to see, but he also captures like the godlike aspects and unrelatability of these characters in such a way where it's like I've always kind of looked at DC characters that way, different from Marvel characters where it's like I am these characters. With DC, it's like they're gods and they're above me, and I feel like with this movie, I got that with them. So even though the characterization's off in little details, like which you would say are big, for me, I think it all came together, and the Ultimate Edition is so much better than the theatrical cut. That, like, if somebody came up to me and was like, "Yeah, I've seen Batman v Superman and I hated it," I would definitely ask them, "Have you seen the Ultimate Edition?" And if they say no, I would definitely recommend it. Would you? If somebody said they didn't like Batman v Superman and they haven't seen the Ultimate Edition, would you still say, "Go ahead and give it a chance" before you say you don't like it?
I would skip the theatrical version. Go to the Ultimate Edition.
Okay. But if someone has seen the theatrical and not the Ultimate, would you recommend they still see the Ultimate before they make their mind up?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You need to see the Ultimate before you completely write it off. I mean,
the theatrical is like a 4 out of 10 in my book.
You're being generous.
And for this, and for this, I definitely would say it knocks it up to a solid 8. I'd say a solid 8.
Again, it's been a while since I've seen the theatrical, but if I had to score the theatrical version, it's like a 2.
There's still visual things that are nice about it, and it just doesn't make sense because of the editing, but
it's a 2. Yeah. Maybe a 3. Maybe somebody out there could
keep in mind he gave Man of Steel a 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, if you would give that a 2, what would you give this?
So, the Ultimate Edition, I think I'm going to go with a solid 5. I was waffling between a 5 and a 6. But I think I'll give it a 5.
So nothing really enjoyable about it then?
It's fine. It's just fine.
But you don't even like it really? Because a 5 is just meh.
I mean, if we weren't doing this review, I wouldn't watch it. And even after having seen it, I can't envision a situation where I watch it again.
So you don't think you'll watch this again?
Probably not.
Oh man, yeah.
I own it and I wouldn't watch it again.
This is my favorite Batman that we've ever gotten, honestly. So until Robert Pattinson, I have faith in Pattinson. Yeah. But
I might fast forward through and like watch a couple of.
You're saying this is something you'll just go on YouTube and watch clips of.
More like if it's on, I'm not. If it's on and I'm like on my phone, I'm not going to turn it off.
if you're getting ready to fall asleep.
Well, yeah. If I was getting ready to fall asleep, I just put Man of Steel back in. But
well, all I know is at the end when they're at the funeral and Batman's talking to Diana and he's like, "I've got a feeling people are coming." Which again, you kind of point this out. We're watching it. Continue that conversation. Like, why won't you guys talk to each other? But
he barely like Diana's like walking away, and
yeah,
it's like, you don't have a single follow up to this. All right.
Also, I get
that's so unnecessary. She could have just been in. She's not even in the shot. You just have to tell her to stay there. Cut. All right, done.
I get him not telling her anything previous, like
sure
before he had seen the Flash, like in that little footage on the flash drive or whatever. Flash drive, no pun intended. But like, you sent it to her, you know she's seen it too, and this dude literally came to you in a vision, nightmare, something. So you're not gonna at least bring that up? Like, I feel like it's gotta be...
I still hate the fact that the shot right after that is him, like, waking up off his desk. It makes no sense.
I think it makes no sense unless we see more of it in the Snyder Cut. I think we are. Because I think it's easy enough to fix in the Snyder Cut. All they have to say is, like, when Flash comes to you, like, through the Speed Force or whatever, it knocks you out afterwards or something. Like, it's just something as simple as that. Because then we're like, oh, that's why he fell asleep right after. Because you do see the papers and the wind flying around when he wakes up, which is the visual cue to the audience that we know, oh, that actually happened. Man, I'm really looking forward to the Snyder Cut. That's
if the Snyder Cut doesn't answer those questions about that sequence, does that impact the way you feel about Batman v Superman?
I'll say yes, because it seems like he planted that there for the future, and to never talk about it again, especially when you're getting $70 million to reimagine your vision of it.
And like, you get 4 hours to do so.
Yeah, and you're getting 4 hours. I'm assuming that even if it was a part that would have gotten cut if it was theatrically released, I think that in this assembly cut we're about to see, it will get something like along those lines, some sort of answer. So I'd be a little bit disappointed if they don't touch on it at least.
But yeah. I think I give it a 5.
5?
It's fine. It's solid. Everybody's acting is good. You know what? Alfred might actually be the best part.
Alfred is
Alfred's
so great.
Great in this.
As soon as he popped up on screen, all his lines of dialogue are
they're
like,
just perfect.
Same dude that wrote, or it was actually a woman who wrote Vision's dialogue in WandaVision.
Yeah.
Must have wrote Thanos' dialogue in Infinity War. Must have wrote Jeremy Irons' dialogue in this, dude. Like, they have such a profound, like, wisdom to them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's so great. It's so great. And, like, he doesn't give Batman any shit when, like, Batman's, like, realizes he messed up and Superman's actually not bad. And he's like, oh, Alfred, like, I don't deserve you. And he's like, yeah, you don't. Like, that's it. Like, all right, let's get on with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was great.
He was great in this.
He was great. Looking forward to seeing him in the Snyder Cut. All right, anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Want to take us out?
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Join us probably Friday morning when we'll have a review of the Snyder Cut up. I'm sure you guys can't wait.
Can't wait.
I definitely can. I will be enjoying my life till I have to watch that movie.
We made a deal. Last video, if he enjoys the Snyder Cut, then we have to review Watchmen. So let's hope that he enjoys it.
All right, see you guys.
See you guys.